Someone told me yesterday I was an architect of authentic living. As my God,
what just
LOL,
broke?
something just completely broke around my neck. That's hysterical. Okay.
I heard that. Oh my God, everybody, that's a moment.
Yeah.
That's so
This is so funny. This is my it was my Mary Magdalene necklace and it just popped. Okay. Thank you for the
No.
confirmation.
Are you ready for a show that actually shifts you? With real, raw, honest conversations about what it takes to become the most embodied version of yourself. And are you ready to remember that the world really does need your medicine? This is the podcast to awaken that.
I can hear a calling.
Because we all feel our higher self pulling us to our next expansion. But the only way to really get there is by sharing our stories together. So welcome to the World Needs Your Medicine podcast. This is the place where we can have real conversations about the things that have worked for us, the lessons we've learned, the hard struggles along the way, and the things that have shifted us into the versions of ourselves we are now. Here on the show, you'll hear from some of the most incredible guests that have transformed their lives using the exact tools they talk about and offer inside each episode. I'm so honored to share this with you, and I can't wait to dive deeper, because when you see the power of what others have created, you believe you can create it too. And that's all we are really trying to remember, because the world really does need our medicine, and it starts by finding it within yourself. I'm Lauren Eliz Love, and let's dive into the show. Thanks for being here.
Symphony of life will be. Still I'll hear her.
This is how I feel this morning. If you're watching this recorded version on camera, because we're on YouTube now, I'm in my PJs and I'm dancing. I'm so happy. It's such a good day. It's really interesting because I am always recording these episodes ahead of the game, right? For the World Needs Your Medicine podcast. I mean, there's just so many incredible guests that I've been wanting to have on the show, and we've been doing all these interviews and batch filling. And so we have these recorded conversations, and then, sometimes months go by and I'm like, oh shit, I have to record an intro. I got to record an intro for that episode. And so I have to go back in time, remember the vibration, tap into the conversation, look at the transcripts and remember, oh, these are the really juicy things we talked about, right? But let me just tell you, today's conversation, I didn't have to do that, because I felt like everything that we dropped into today was soul nourishing in such a way that I still remember how good I felt on the other end of the conversation. And I feel like, it's really important to remember that when we are holding space for relationships and connection and, intimate energetic exchange, we need to remember that we should be leaving those conversations feeling alive, feeling juicy. Like, I don't like the word yummy. I feel like that's like a weird, get that yummy, not really my word of reference, but yeah, we just want to walk away being like, I feel restored. I feel like that was so good. I feel like I, am lighter or more energized or more connected to myself. And this conversation was just that for me. I mean, I wish we didn't have to wait so long to actually release this episode. It took way too long, let's just say. So I got my girl Victoria Nielsen on the episode. Today's conversation is juicy. I took a microdose before we had the dialogue. So if you're watching this on video, you're going to see it. It'll hit. Like, you're going to notice in the interview, oh, she's like in a level of a new place. So, and that's okay, because we can be honest and we can have these dialogues. I'm feeling really good today, before we switch into introducing Victoria and bringing her into this conversation. I think because, as I'm recording this, the doors to the Body of Wealth program are closing. Today's the day. right? Today is the day. Body of Wealth is closing. This is the first time I'm ever putting out somatic wealth recoding technique as a self-paced experience. I've been using this technique on clients for the last 7 years, and I'm finally taking it digital so you guys can actually heal your wealth blocks, heal your relationship to your own sense of self-confidence and worthiness, and, hold greater capacity for wealth. And it just feels really cool to have this conversation with Victoria being recorded for, the intro moment here, because, recently she was so brave and talked about how she completely changed direction in launching this retreat that she was running. And I felt so inspired by that, for her just to be like, nope, this is what we're doing. And this launch for me for Body of Wealth, I have been constantly listening and attuning to spirit every single step of the way, recognizing like what I want to change, what I want to do different. Every day I wake up, okay, we're going to add this, we're going to take this out, we're going to put a bonus here. And it's just been really cool to follow and listen to spirit. And this conversation with Victoria, we have this really cool moment. You heard it in the intro, where like her Mary Magdalene necklace breaks in the middle of dialogue, and spirit was totally with us in this conversation. So I hope you feel that. I hope you connect to the energy of that when you are in this moment with us. My favorite part about this conversation, and I haven't even told you who Victoria is yet, right? We just riff. Like we riff, we connect, we have honest dialogue. I actually was on her show where we did the same thing, and we were talking about addictive behaviors and my journey of like getting off of nicotine and quitting the vape, and openly discussing the fact that I had been using the vape for a long time. Shameful secrets, But Victoria is so cool like that, where you just talk to her and you feel like you want to just be honest and open about everything. And she does such a really good job of being true to herself and holding space for that authentic narrative. So let's get into it. Victoria Nielsen, ladies and gentlemen, she was a student in my Wild Wealthy Feminine program, and I wanted to bring her on the show because her medicine is so potent. She's an energy healer, an empowerment coach. She has a TEDx video somewhere on the internet. She's a former TEDx speaker. She really focuses on helping leaders and visionaries find clarity in like a very radical way through grounded spirituality and embodied leadership. And her true mission is to guide women back to their feminine power and intuition so that they can lead and create in a really true soul-centered way. So obviously, Wild Wealthy Feminine, this girl has the medicine. She holds it, she carries it. And this was such a good dialogue today. Like I cannot tell you, we talk about all the things. She shares her story about traveling to another country to get a neck tattoo. We talk about our relationships with our partners and how, we have different versions of defined spirituality in our marriages and how we navigate that with our beloveds. We talk a little bit about her journey of, navigating being an entrepreneur and also being a mom. And everything in this dialogue is just rich and juicy and soul nourishing. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. For more information on Victoria Nielsen, you can check out the show notes of today's episode, and you can go to laurenoflove.com/podcast to see the full breakdown of today's dialogue, as well as having a peek at the show notes. Thanks for being here, guys. And with that, enjoy today's episode. Can you, before we do anything, can we have a conversation about this neck tattoo? Because we started talking about it before we recorded and pressed the button, but I have so many questions. How did you find this woman, first of all?
Instagram. So she had worked at a tattoo shop in Australia. So the Elysian Heart, her name is Rachel, was not my artist, but she was the original kind of sacred tattoo artist that I started to follow. And she used to do these like mother markings that I was like, oh my God, that would be my dream to go to Australia and get a mother marking. Well, then Sarah, who was my tattoo artist, worked at the shop with her. And so I started just following Sarah because I liked what she was posting, and her style is very similar, that it's dainty, it's all hand poked. I was like, okay, if either of them could tattoo me, that would be fantastic. And I honestly probably hadn't seen posts from Sarah in a while. And then last October, well, no, it would have been September, she kind of popped back up again and was saying that she was opening her wait list. And so I was like, okay, I'll apply. Like, there's no way that she's going to pick me. Like, I'm sure she has hundreds of people that apply. And she got back to me and said, I'm going to be traveling through Cornwall, Norway, Scotland, Ireland. Like, you choose. She was like, I really believe that whatever number you're called to, whatever location you called to, there's a reason. So I kept coming back to Cornwall. And I was like, okay, I could make it work in a month. And I have two young kids. Like, I think when I brought this up to my husband, he, thank God his brain didn't explode. He knows me. He was like, okay.
Like, I'm gonna go to another country and just get a tattoo. I'll be back on Thursday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, no, he very much was like, okay, so then that means I get to go to a foreign country and go hike. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Like, you can have your time. You know, we very much try and trade off that way, that like I get to go do things like retreats that fill my cup. He loves to go climb 14,000-foot mountains. That sounds fucking terrible to me, but hey, to each his own.
We should set our partners up and plan spiritual trips because that's same. Absolutely.
Like, I'm like, okay, you go do that. So yeah, so then I decide, okay, I'm gonna go to Cornwall, which to me, I was like, this feels really weird. I have had never had an inkling to go to Cornwall. And we set it up, and I'm supposed to take the train from like London down to Cornwall. It's supposed to be like an easy train ride. The night before I leave, I noticed there are train strikes happening, and that what would have taken a 5-hour train ride was now going to take 10. I'm literally only going from like Thursday to Sunday. So like there's not enough time for this. So I just decide, I'm like, I'm going to rent a car. Like, how hard could it be to drive on the wrong side of the road? And
Oh my God.
you know,
I
like
could not. I could
whatever.
not. No.
So I did. I got my car and I'm driving down the road, Lauren. All of a sudden, I'm like, that looks like Stonehenge. I'm like, what? That fucking is Stonehenge.
No
So
way.
yeah, so I like pull over, like go see Stonehenge, like,
Oh, I've always
and I'm
wanted
going to this
see
like
it.
remote farm in Cornwall that I don't even know where I'm going to. And but I'm glad I did, because on the way back, Stonehenge was closed, and I'm, you know, just kind of following the GPS. I'm driving. It's 120 acres. It's the most beautiful land, but I arrive in the dark. And I started to like freak out because I couldn't find where I was supposed to go. I was literally like 100 yards from the turn where I needed to go. But what a life lesson that you're 100 yards from the finish line from your goal and you have a whole massive freak out because like you're like, I can't find it. I'm not gonna get there.
Typical.
And I was right there. So anyway, we had talked back and forth a little bit, and I had said I wanted a chest tattoo, but I didn't see anything until the day of the ceremony. And it's 10 a.m. And, you know, she's like, I want to show you the piece. And she's like, I channel a message with these every time. She's like, sometimes it takes a little bit of time. She's like, but your ancestors like guided this. Like, this whole thing came in for you. Like, let me just show it to you.
Did she know anything about you prior to this? Like, do you explain like your intention of like why you
A
want
little
this
bit. Like, I
tattoo?
just was like, hey, I'm going through a new level of embodiment. Like, I feel really called that I keep seeing a rose at my heart. And I was like, I do feel like it travels up to like towards my throat, but I kind of like very briefly say that. And then I said I saw like in meditation a Kundalini snake, and like a couple other just like symbols. That's really all I've shared with her, is that like, hey, you know, I'm on this embodiment journey. I'm a mom. I've spent this last year like rebuilding the foundation with my husband. Like, I really, you know, teach divine feminine, but that's kind of it. So then she shows me the design and I'm floored. It's huge. Like, I'm thinking it's going to be this little like tiny thing in the middle of my chest. No, it goes up. I have like two peacocks that go up. It wraps around my shoulders. Like, I just was, I don't think I even had words. And I saw that she had the neck included. And I was kind of like, I don't know, secretly really wanting it, but being like, I don't know. Because the best part of this, my husband Will, before I left, literally says, don't get a neck tattoo.
Okay, this was actually going to be my secondary question to you, because when I'm doing something that like impulsively reflects my embodiment and my new chapter of life, it's always notoriously something that makes him cringe immediately. And he's like, wait a minute, you're going to shave the side of your head. You're going to get a bull tattoo on a bull piercing in your nose. I don't know about that. But like, yeah, okay, wait. So did you have, let's pause on that for a minute. You're in this huge embodiment, this like new next level of self. I want to ask a million questions about that, but we'll go there. I want to also just ask, did you bring that to your husband as an idea that you were like, independently, I'm just going to do this? Or were you nervous about his reaction? Were you worried that he would be supportive? Or were you just like, this is what's happening for me?
It was a bit of this is what's happening for me. And he very much he's always been so supportive that like I knew if it had been less than a month and I was like trying to make this trip happen in 2 weeks, like that probably would have been like a
Mm.
hard no. We did learn this time. I think a month is about the boundary. Like I can't go any shorter and like spring something on him.
You had a plan with your
Um,
kids also too, right? Like you have
oh yeah, so
children.
he took care of the kids, while I was gone and but again, in my head, I was thinking it was just going to be like a chest tattoo from like, middle of my sternum to like maybe underneath my boobs. Like I didn't really think it was going to be this massive thing. But he was like, "Okay, you need to go have this experience. Like I get it." But he had these, kind of stipulations, right? Where he was like, no neck tattoos, like, I don't think he said anything else beyond the neck tattoo. But then it was good because then we had conversations about some of his like preconceived notions around tattoos and things like
Mm.
that, and like some of his stories and triggers that were coming up in me going to do this. And so we did talk about that before I left. Um, but the best part was like after the tattoo, when I FaceTimed him, I had like a blanket pulled all the way up to my chin and like and slowly like brought it down and was like, so by the way. But like the best part though was in the experience. So like, she puts it on me and I don't 100% agree to the neck yet. I'm like, put the outline there, we'll see. Even though in my heart of hearts, I'm like, yes, I would love that. And so as she's tattooing, like we're talking the whole time, we're alchemizing. Like it was really interesting to me that I only bled when she was doing the right peacock on my right shoulder. So I was like, okay, masculine side, carrying too much. And then when she got to the throat, I started crying. And not because it hurt Lauren, but because all of these stories of like shame, not regret, but like, what the fuck have I done? Like, I can't take this off my
Mm.
body now. My
Mm.
husband specifically said, don't get a neck tattoo. And like, here I am doing the exact opposite. And again, it was only on the right side when she was like doing the stuff on the right side. And the second she finished, I literally felt like a vibration move out of my throat. I had to get up from the table, shook my body like crazy, 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 and let out the biggest primal scream I have ever let out in my entire life.
Oh my God, I have chills. I'm so glad I asked. This is such a good story.
And
This is
like
so good.
no, I mean, it's so wild, but so like amazing at the same time. And she just was like, you just unlock something from the depths. Like you just alchemize something for like your entire line. Like I can't
Mm.
wait to see what unfolds for you after this.
Mm.
And sure enough, like, I mean, there's been crazy synchronicities, like all kinds of stuff happening. My husband is okay with the neck tattoo once he saw it. But like, talk about needing to just trust that like it was going to be okay. What I was doing was the right thing. And actually, okay, the even crazier part, I forgot about this. 2 years prior, I had been in a transformational breathwork experience. And afterwards, I journaled about getting my spiritual armor. And I literally wrote about like getting a chest tattoo. It wasn't the front of my throat, it was like the back of my neck almost, and like a
Mhm.
different spot or whatever. But that like this was my spiritual armor. And I'd kind of said that jokingly to my husband, but like I really forgot about this experience until the one notebook I brought with me that I grabbed randomly had that journal entry from the transformational breathwork experience talking about my spiritual armor. And I opened it like right before we started tattooing and like doing everything together. Yeah,
So,
you can't even make
okay,
that shit up.
you can't
Like,
make this shit up. This is like a 2-year portal. It's interesting because the way that you describe it, like that part of all of the aspects of the tattoo, that was the part that you said twice in this conversation. You were like, I I would have loved that. Like you wanted it, but also it terrified you. And like to find out that that's the part of you where you're like roar and just letting out that energy. It's so fucking cool. It's so to me it's like when we do these things like with hair, with body, adorning and honoring, I feel like there's such a spiritual representation to all of it. So I really love that you had the opportunity to do that in such a sacred way with like a spiritual woman holding space in a spiritual land. Like,
it was, I mean, Cornwall spoke to me in ways I didn't expect. Because what came through really was like, bitch, you've been working with all your Cuban ancestors. Like, you got some Irish in you too, some Celtic that like you need to be working with. And I
yeah.
was like, okay, you're right. I don't know about any of these, Celtic goddesses. Like, yes, I should learn more about Brigitte and some of the others. So that opened like a whole new world for me. And I've always been someone that says yes to things. And I think more people should, because
Mm.
I could have said no. I could have said, like, oh my God, it's a month. Like, I can't leave my kids, or this is too rushed to put together. But instead, I was like, no, this is divinely timed. And like, I don't know when she's coming back to Europe again. She's in Australia now for the next like
Mm.
year, I think. And like, I think more people need to be courageous and
Mhm.
trust that if there's some little part of you that wants this, there's a reason. And actually, it's like a soul calling. Because, like I said, I had seen others with neck tattoos, and I secretly wanted one, but I didn't want to admit that I did, because I didn't want the stigma
Mhm.
or someone else's opinion about what that means. Did you feel
Mhm.
like that when you were shaving your head?
Oh, 100%. I've been wanting to shave my head and get a septum piercing for like 3 years. Like it's been on my radar. But the things that have come up for me around it are related to how my grandmother's gonna look at me, right? Like I think about her specifically, my mom, when whether or not Matt would be accepting of it, right? Because I think there is all of that metaphorically for me is like that wound of approval and that wound of like, you're going to look weird or people are going to have opinions. But I got to this place where I'm like, I'm just so fucking tired of like that's been the really big theme in my life. That's what my embodiment level was before I actually did it, was like, I'm so tired of playing by the rules of people pleasing for everybody else. I don't want to do that anymore. And like, my body, I would look at myself in the mirror and I'd be like, oh, my hair's kind of thinning in like the exact spot that I've been wanting to shave for 3 years. Like, duh, like this just makes so much sense. And when I got the septum piercing, I got like 42 messages in my Instagram. I think you were one of them too.
I was, because I swear you've had one.
Yeah, everybody's like, I thought you had this already. I'm like, thank you. You see me. So it was just really cool. But for me, like whenever I go into a decision of doing something to alter my body, whether it was plastic surgery 2 years ago or the tattoos or the piercings, it's always like, no, this is a new level for me, right? This is something I'm claiming. What were you going through in the last 2 years? Like, did you reflect on that from the notebook to the moment? Like, what was happening in your embodiment process?
Gosh, really learning to walk the walk of what I had been teaching people. Because even 2 years ago, I was a breathwork facilitator, I was a circle holder, I was a space holder. And not that I wasn't really embodying myself, but I think I didn't really believe that I was that medicine woman. It felt like,
Mm.
oh, that's other than me. And not realizing that I, in a past life, was a warrior that walked around like actually covered in tattoos, and that actually this for me was almost not a mushing together of like lives and timelines, but kind of where it was like, okay, all of that old, right, past life knowledge of being a medicine woman in so many different lives, and then the knowledge I'm learning in this life. Okay, it's time for it all to come together. They're not separate.
Mm.
And so even just the last year with quitting my corporate job and like really being like all in on this entrepreneur, I don't even want to say coach path because I'm not a coach, but an entrepreneur and a creative, it's been a lot of unlearning. These last 2 years, I think, have been the final unlearnings of those people pleasing,
Mm.
of the good girls don't look this way in a corporate environment, especially. It was like, oh, I waited forever to get my hand tattoos. And that to me was actually like the first step of this journey, was saying, okay, I can get tattoos in a place that people can see, because I always thought good girls don't. You have to have them in places that you can hide or that you can cover up. And so I think that hand tattoos had to come first for me to even be able to be like even semi okay with the neck tattoo. And then really the foundation of my marriage this last year, like really realizing we had cracks like everyone else does. We've been together for 10 plus years. Like, I've been on this spiritual path now for 6, 7 years. I'm a different person. And I know you've talked about this before too, of like, well, will my partner still like me?
Mm.
Are they still going to appreciate who I am? And so I think it was a bit of that, of being able to say, yes, he's still going to be around, because actually I'm more me now than I've ever been. And that the outside is just reflecting what I've been
Mm.
feeling and who I have been for many, many lifetimes.
Yeah, something that was coming through as you were talking about the relationship component. Well, there's two big things that I was thinking of. First, we need a new terminology for like what we define ourselves as, I think, as spiritual workers. As you were like, I'm not a coach. I'm like, duh. Like, we're all medicine creators, but like medicine marketers. Like, I feel like maybe that's the appropriate term. And then I'm like, new idea. Like, I just put that
Right?
over
No,
there.
someone told me yesterday, I was an architect of authentic living.
Oh, I
Oh, as
love
my, oh my
that.
God.
What just
LOL,
broke?
something just completely broke around my neck. That's hysterical. Okay.
I heard
Oh,
that. Oh my God. Everybody, that's a moment. That's
yeah.
so
Oh my gosh, this is so funny. This is my, it was my Mary Magdalene necklace and it just popped. Okay. Thank you for the
no.
confirmation.
Oh my God. Can you say it again? I want to really hold it. It was you're an you're an architect of authentic living. Is that
Mhm.
yeah, girl, dude. And I feel like that makes a lot of sense because if I look at the timeline of what you just described, it's all about you coming into your authenticity deeper and deeper and like care and then you can carry that medicine. That's what people get so wrong, I think, about the world of entrepreneurship. Like you're literally going through the same initiations in real time. Like people are like,
Yes.
"Oh, you should be like really authentic already." Like, no, I'm figuring it out with you, just like moving a little bit ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Dude.
But I think that's what attracts people to us is because we share the journey, we share the messy parts. I was talking to a client about this the other day because I was like, when you're ready, I was like, you should share more of the mess in progress. Like, I was like, all of us wait until the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we want to see the behind the scenes. We want to see the hero's journey. We want to see like how you got from here to there. And actually, it's okay that it was messy. Like, it's meant to be messy. And that makes you
Yeah.
human, you know?
Yeah, this is just a side note. I was thinking about this last night because did you ever watch Modern Family?
Yes.
Oh my God. I've watched that show like 4 times. I love it. I just love the joy. I love the play. But I
That's
had,
me with Schitt's Creek. I've seen it so many times. It's
oh, I
ridiculous.
love Schitt's Creek. It stresses me out
Rest in peace,
sometimes, but
Moira.
the characters are so funny. What does she say all the time to her? She uses her brother's name in like such a sassy way.
Oh, David.
David. Yeah. But in
Anyway, wait. We were at relationships and there was something else
Oh,
coming in
I
there
got you
too.
covered. I'm tracking it all. Do not worry. We're driving. But in the conversation we're talking about with like, you molding and you shifting and changing directions, when you watch a TV show and you see the character's establishment, you go back and watch it again and you're like, "Whoa, they didn't quite figure certain things out in season 1, but then whoa, the characters, they figured it out and the character's more rooted and like the personality traits are there and they evolve and they build off of each other. And like, if you really think about it, the only way they figured that out was in real time. There was really no other way to do that. So I feel like that character development just needs to be so front and center for us as human beings, like the permission to evolve in your embodiment in the online space and in your partnership too. Because like when you were talking about your relationship with your partner, one of the things that came through for me was my partner, I believe, I don't know how you feel about yourself, but my partner is with me for my soul, not my sense of self. And so like my sense of self can change and can evolve and adapt, but like he's here for the soul, and that's always been kind of how I see it. And even though embodiment levels have been really scary, did you go through what were the certain aspects you went through in your embodiment where you were like, oh shit, my partner, I don't know. Like, like the nervousness. What
Very at the very beginning, like especially, I mean, my spiritual awakening happened with a miscarriage and then through the birth of my first and my second child. And so you're changing already. Your body's completely changing. Your hormones are hijacked. Like you feel different.
Mm.
But then to have this spiritual awakening on top of it, when you're like, whoa, I'm now becoming aware of my thoughts, my patterns, my reality, energy work, like all these new things. And then you're excited and you want to share it with your partner. And then if your partner's like mine, who is Virgo, to the max, Aquarius moon, like very cynical, very skeptical,
Yeah, Matt's an
you can,
Aquarius.
right? Like you
Yeah.
you almost take it personally, like, oh, you don't like me anymore, or oh, if we don't like the same things, are we going to still be together in 10 years? And again, that's a lot of old programming because I grew up thinking my parents got divorced, but the story my mom always told was that they were best friends and that
Mm.
they, this all happened. And so to me, I was like, well, what the fuck happens when I marry my best friend? Like, are we going to grow apart and not love each other anymore? There are always two sides to the story and then the truth. My dad would tell the story very differently. But because I grew up with that, I had this fear of like, are we going to grow apart? Are we going to change? Like, what's going to happen? And I've actually found that the more that I change without trying to change him, it brings us closer together.
Mm-hmm.
That all of the worry or projection I had was when I was trying to change him, when I was trying to make him someone different because I was becoming someone different. When really that just it never works. It never works.
Well, what was the most cringeworthy thing you did if you look back? I was so
Oh my
curious.
God.
I got a list.
I have so many. The immediate one that just popped in my brain was when my oldest was breech, and so we were trying to turn him in a Chinese medicine. Something that they would have you do was hold. It's called moxibustion next to your pinky toe. It's literally just this like stick that smells like shit that you like light on fire, and supposedly if you put it near your pinky toe, I don't know, it moves your body's chi or some. I don't know.
Did it work?
No, because I still had to have a fucking C-section. But my husband did it. He did it. And I'm like, I still cringe to this day thinking about us in my bathroom downstairs, like him trying to hold it to my toe without burning my toe. Like it was so bad. So then, like, when the second baby was breached, he literally came to me and he was like, I'm not doing that shit again. Don't ask me to do it again.
Oh my
Like,
God.
it didn't work. Like, no, that and him doing Kundalini yoga with me for the first time. Again, this is something he's never done with me again because I chose to do a Kundalini Kriya that was like very active. And so when I said come meditate with me, I think he thought like we were just going to sit there. And instead I'm like, like, and so he was miserable. And so then after that, he was like, I'm never doing that again either. Thanks.
Oh my God. I have so
I was
many
like, what were
moments.
yours? Or like, what's
Jesus
one?
Christ. Yeah, it's so funny. Like I have to like give myself compassion for all the things I did because I was that type like where if I'm gonna be awakened in this new higher version of power, I felt like the only way to feel that power was to have him be doing it with me. You know, like I couldn't feel fully. I don't know what the story was. There was a lot of work I had to do around that to let it go. And now we don't have those issues. But I remember like 3 years ago when our dogs passed away. We had 3 dogs that all passed away within like a year of each other, all different reasons. It was such a big like, like something was really leaving my field. And I was trying to support him. And rather than support him in the way that he needed, I was like, we're going to put on a shamanic playlist. I'm going to sage you. And then I'm going to serve you hape. And he had like never, yeah, I swear to God, I did
All of
this.
the things, Hape, Lauren.
Hape. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
I
know.
don't like Hape, but
It was such a big mistake. And at the time, I had been working with Hape so disciplinedly. So I had a really high tolerance, but I was not serving him based on the fact that this was his first time. So I blasted the guy out and he's like, this is fucking awful. Like, why are you doing this on a regular basis? And so that was just one of those moments where I'm like,
I did
Lauren,
that to Will too.
you did?
With mushrooms. Before I was using them like more intuitively and intentionally, yeah, I was like, we should do this. It was after an Alabama football game. He was like not in the state of mind. Like, and to this day, he won't do mushrooms with me. He's like, nope, that was your chance. You fucked it up. Sorry.
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
God.
no, like I think you would really like them. And he's like, nah, I'm good.
Well, because now you're a different version of yourself, so you would like, set up the space appropriately and
Right? Like,
you
do a
know,
microdose while we go on a nature walk.
yeah, like entry. But I think as women, when we're coming into our embodiment, there's such a fire and a rage of claiming it that comes once you finally do, you're like, I'm the medicine woman. Like we just feel like the pull of it. And I get it. Like we want to share it with our partners. And I think coming into right relationship with that is really cool. Like I like that we can laugh about it and we can, joke around because it's something that I think a lot of women do struggle with. And the journey of your embodiment, it has all these layers of integration, right? Like relationships and how you parent. I'm sure like that was something that was a big part too, and how you run your business and how you deal with money. Okay, so wait, I have more questions though. Can I keep digging in? Because I'm like
Oh,
so
of
curious.
course.
Okay, so for the last 2 years, right, embodying this medicine version of you in its fullest, right, is kind of how we could describe it. And there was probably a lot that had to kind of die in order to make that happen, I'm sure, right? Like I've been reflecting on my last 2 years and it's been a full-blown ego death in like so many different
I was gonna
ways.
say ego death was like the big thing, realizing mainly that I'm the problem.
Can you
And
can
that,
you
like,
expand upon that, please?
no, that for at least a lot of the beginning of my spiritual journey, and even before that, it's so easy to blame others. Or in the example of my relationship, right? I'm becoming so enlightened. He's the problem because he doesn't want to change. And it took actually a big mushroom medicine set for me to realize, like, no, it's me and my perspective of him that is the problem. That actually I need to rise to be the queen, that I've already chosen a king, that he's not a frog that turned into a prince, any of that shit. Like, he's a king on his own. And like, I need to stop being a wounded maiden in my marriage
Mm.
and step into, no longer wounded mother, no longer wounded wild woman, like stepping into the healed version of myself so that I can rise to be the woman that like he deserves and that my family deserves and that I deserve to be. That was just huge for me to realize that like it's my perspective that needed to change.
Mm.
And owning that and being like, okay, it's a hard pill to swallow. That was the other thing we learned recently, that he's a reflector, which I had no idea.
Oh.
So our entire relationship, we never had his birth time until literally like 2 months ago. And I put it in and I was like, what? You're a reflector? And I was like, wow, even more confirmation that when you're being shitty to me, it's just you reflecting my shittiness back to me. Like, fuck.
Dude, reflectors are so like they're so difficult for me. Like the relation when I know somebody's a reflector, I take 3 steps back because I'm literally like, I don't know what's going to happen here, and it's really scary. It's like so living with that, I have no idea. How do
He
you
is, yeah,
deal?
my biggest medicine at all times, in a good way, in a really good way. He keeps me grounded and all of
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow, but a lot of the times we are the ones, and it's our energy that needs to be worked on. It's our stories that need to be
Mm.
moved through. It has nothing to do with the people around us. They are just mirrors for the unhealed parts of us that are ready to be healed. I really believe our triggers come up when maybe not when we're ready, but when we need to face these things, because if we don't, then that next level of embodiment, that next level of enlightenment, that next level of love even isn't
Mm.
possible without meeting and clearing some of that debris.
Yeah, that's really true. I think when I look at the dynamic that I had with Matt I think this is, first of all, so great we're talking about this because this is like the number one question I do get asked from my community. Yeah, and we've never talked about it before. Like I've never had somebody to riff on it with me. So it's like really cool. And when I was coming into my embodiment, I felt like there were all of these mirrors that were manifesting in my relationship, but I blamed him all the time, right? I was like, just like you need to change and you need to do these things with me
You don't
and
understand me.
you don't understand me, right? You're not stepping up, like all of the kind of feelings that were wounds from my childhood, my upbringing, my dynamic with mom and dad. And yeah, you said something really cool when you were describing like this rising, and I'm wondering if you can expand upon it. You described this essence of you rising to meet your partner, right? Like to be the woman that, he deserves. And I'm wondering if you can go a little bit deeper into how that is different now with all of the inner work that you've cultivated and all of the healing that you've done. How does that look?
Yeah. And I think the big difference that's coming through as you're talking is like the version of Victoria, even 5 years ago, would have been doing it for him. And the version of me
Mm.
now is doing it for me,
Mm.
and realizing that I have that capacity, that actually that's my fullest potential, is to rise. And of course, as the divine feminine, everyone always says the divine feminine is rising, and it is, but you have to root down first. You have to be so grounded and so solid to then be able to rise. So I feel like I had to crawl back into the dirt almost and like, go deep into the depths of myself, of the earth, of my medicine, of the stories I had been telling myself so that I could rise. And, in my everyday, that could look like taking a second to pause and not starting an argument because I realized, oh, I came in a little too
Mm.
hot. Or, oh, he's having a bad day. Like, this is not the time to be talking about this. It could be taking a second to fill my cup, noticing that actually, and this is a funny story, that the last couple of days, like we've been go, go, go. The kids have been sick. Like I haven't been giving to myself and I've been an angry mother. I have been in shadow mother. And it's allowing him to, I don't want to say please me, but like realizing that sometimes it's okay to be taken care of. That an older version of me would have said, like, I have to do this all on my own. I have to figure this out. No, I can let him provide for me. I can let
Mm.
him take care of me. And that doesn't make me any less of a fierce, divine feminine warrior. Actually, leaning into that softness is what's needed sometimes. And so, the story that I'm thinking of is just he noticed that I was very crotchety. And so, he surprised me by coming home for lunch one day for a little afternoon delight because he was like, I know this will make you happier. And he was right. Like, I
Oh
was so
my
much nicer the
God.
rest of the day to everybody, you know? So like it's a bit of that kind of policing yourself or noticing yourself, but then also stepping out of the way so that your partner can actually provide for you and make you feel like the queen that you are. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I think so many of us grew up in this girl boss era of like we have to do it all ourselves, but actually rising means delegating. Rising
Mm-hmm.
means like softening and letting him do nice things for me. That doesn't make me like not a feminist. If anything, that makes me more appreciative of our energies, of our differing energies, like
Mm.
I don't know. I feel like we've had it ass backwards. Like I
I
used to be
think
very
so.
much like, I can do it all. No, I fucking can't. And actually, like, I'm not supposed to.
Listen, I hear you. I think Natalie Ellis, I think is her name. She runs Boss Babe. That's what it's called, Boss Babe. I haven't followed her in a long time, but she popped up on my feed and she shared how she like went to a country recently, like really far from her home for this. She went to Dubai for like this event where she had to go speak, but she's a newborn. And so she like flew in and flew out. And she's like, I'm going to tell it like it is. Like, I don't think you can have it all. And I was like, oh, what is this? Like, let me go scroll this. Like, let me see. Because that I think that when you stop trying to have it all, you do have it all. But that doesn't mean you have everything, and it doesn't mean you hold everything, right? It's recognizing that having it all is a frequency, and it's not about holding every piece or being responsible for all parts of your life 100% all on you. And, I think when it comes to relationships, the business perspective leaks in, it definitely does. And like, I don't know, that shit gave me chronic illness. Like I can't live like that. Like this is not okay. There's so much of that burnout and exhaustion. Yeah, for me that's been really strong medicine recently of like this. I think about the rose on your heart, right? Like just the softness of slowing down and not putting pressure on yourself and being cared for and being provided for. So yeah, I love that. What do you feel like is or was the biggest challenge of you becoming more embodied as you relate to your purpose? Like, did stuff come up to you
Ooh.
in that dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it was like stuff I was not afraid of, but like afraid to admit that I wanted. Like afraid to say like, "Oh, I actually want to be like famous. I want to be on TV screens. Like I want to be on television." I think in society, right, we're told like wanting these things as a woman is bad or it makes you, X, Y, and Z. But I think when I was finally honest with myself about the things that I actually wanted, then my purpose became really clear. And yes, that may sound like very selfish things, but to me it's not because then if I have a bigger platform, if I have more visibility, I can help more people. I
Mm-hmm.
can share my message more. I can have a positive ripple effect, whether or not people actually change after listening to me. But, as a projector, and I know you know this, like really leaning into the fact that like my energy in and of itself changes people
Mm-hmm.
and changes rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be enough. You know, that people just hearing my frequency on this podcast will be shifted just a little bit in the way that they need to be more embodied or to be more themselves. And I don't have to, you know, go into my whole like 9-step program. I mean, I totally can if you want, but like that just showing up and being me is enough. And so I had to work through some of those stories, right? You wouldn't think that that'd be connected to like, oh, I want to be famous. But it did in my brain. It was like, well, I want to be famous so that I can just get paid for being myself, and that I can just get paid to show up. And that's like, the more I lean into my projector design, the more that I've had to undo a lot of those old stories and say, like, no, this is possible and this is what's supposed to happen. And I want to be a speaker on stages. You know, when I had my TEDx speech that I gave last year, like that was such a portal for me.
Yeah, congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank
That's
you.
so cool. I'm so
Thank you.
proud of
But
you.
it was like, I like in that moment was like, oh yeah, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then leaning into that, right? Like I relaunched my podcast and just realizing that like that throat that I opened is part of my magic and is part of what I'm here to embody and share. And so if I don't open it, if I'm not sharing, then really I'm doing a disservice to everybody that
Mm-hmm.
needs my medicine or can be inspired by it, you know? And if that makes me selfish, then so be it. I don't think it does, but
No, I love that. No, I think it's just recognizing who you are and what your skill sets are. Like for a long time, I think I associated a lot of like, how do I put it? Like power with big strategy, right? Like if I could find this like I'm going to find this one method and I'm going to blow it up to multi-millions and it's going to be this 6-figure 7-step part thing, this and that and this and that. And through my study of understanding myself like as a projector, I don't want to do that. Sorry. Sorry. Like I have no desire, but I do want to just speak. Like Ram Dass, for example, is goals where he would just walk into a room, he would just channel his thoughts and then he would go do his thing. And that was his life, right? Just channeling the medicine. And I feel like the way you described it, life is so much easier when you're just acknowledging that you are just a channel through your voice. You don't have to solve problems. You don't have to give strategy. You're just speaking truth into people. And that's a potent medicine that I think we really all need, you know?
and the reminder too that like you don't, you know, yes, I have all of the trainings and all of the things, but you don't need that. Like starting it before you even feel ready, you know, feels like an important message to share with people that I started all of this before I felt ready, you know, before I felt like I was living the frequency that was going to change people. And, you know, I say this all the time, like, I'm not a guru, like, don't look up to me, like, look next to me, you know, like we're walking together. And I think that is also just the way of the future, that in this new Aquarian age, like, we're going to be learning in community. We're going to be learning by doing and experiencing together instead of like putting some up on a pedestal or saying like, you know, this is the one way to do it. No, it's not. Like, actually, I really love that recently you shared on your Instagram that you're like, I've made the $1 million years the last 2 years, but you know what? I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I
I
don't.
want to do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's important, acknowledging that we can change and it doesn't all have to be like related to this huge, like personal, dharma, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, I feel you. I think like that concept and premise of community and relationship, I feel like is so strong in my field right now because when we get in spaces like even just this conversation, I'm like, this is so nourishing, right? To be able to talk, reflect, to laugh, to take all these different directions. People want that connection, you know, and if I'm building things without prioritizing that, that feels really unfulfilling to me. So I really, yeah, I love that you just brought that up. I'm just like, this shit's supposed to be fun, you know, like it's just supposed to feel good. And if I'm not creating something that doesn't feel good anymore, I'm not going to hold on to it for money or like the purposes of, you know, sustainability. Like that's just not, I don't know. That's not how I roll. I'm just
I
like,
love it. I feel
yeah.
like you're the death and rebirth queen, though. You're like, I'm going to blow it up and then I'm just going to go do something different over here.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really
yeah.
not that different. That's more embodied.
Right,
But
right. Right, but you need the blowout. Like you, for me at least, like you need to crash and burn everything first and be like, okay, now I'm ready. And it's like just a new iteration. But like, look at, I think we all do that in many, many different ways. And to me, it's great. Like, I can do that in my business. If I'm doing that in my whole life, though, then we have a problem, you know? Like, it's
Like
just,
one area at a time.
yeah, I just have this one little outlet, like the business, death, rebirth. Here we go. But because it's hard, and I agree with you, like one area at a time. Matt and I went through like a huge fucking death portal when I got back from Peru the second time. And it was just like facing shadow, facing shadow. And then my business just went through it recently too, facing shadow, facing shadow. So we, before we go anywhere, need to talk about ego death. How do you define it for yourself? Like if I were to ask you that, like what is an ego death, Victoria? What would be like the appropriate answer and then like the behind the scenes answer?
Well, so it's funny, just like the visual that came to me when you said that was like a fucking slap in the face. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a humbling. It's a realizing that like you don't know everything, that you think you
Mm,
do,
mm,
but that we don't, and none of us do. And we're always going to be learning, and we're always going to be changing, and we're always going to be growing. And I also want to say too that like I don't think we ever really kill the ego. I think we just get into different layers of it. And that actually it's a really good thing because sometimes like that ego is coming in to check us. And
mm.
sometimes it's coming in to maybe make us face our shadows in a deeper way. I think it's the balance that we sometimes need to then be able to skyrocket to where we want to go. I feel like to me it's almost that check of like, okay, you're delusional. Are you still going to hold that delusion when I smack you in the face? Because if not,
Yeah.
then you got some work to do, baby, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I like that interpretation. That's like a very accurate explanation of what the ego experiences are. For me, slap in the face works. I think it's also like um ego death is like very painful sometimes. Like it's just it's pain. I've had painful experiences where, you know, you're losing aspects of your identity that like you thought you would have forever or you
Yes.
know, and you
That you thought
define
were an intrinsic part of you, only to realize that
yeah.
they're actually not.
Yeah, and that they like define your worth. Like
Yeah.
who if you're going through a process where you're like, I'm losing something, who am I without this? That's an ego death, right? Like the front and center. But for me, the ego part that I've experienced recently, I feel like was such a it was interesting. I'll just share this one piece first. There was this girl on Instagram many, many years ago. Her name's not relevant, but she did this post where she said, I don't believe in being humble. And I had this, yeah, she's like, if you're a leader, you should be fucking fire and confident and be in your power. And I'm like, those, yes, but those two statements, like, yes, also, but like humility can be in that, right? And so for a long time, that post always stuck with me. And I was like, hold on, you think that it's wrong to be humble. But I think being humble is one of the most healing frequencies that we can actually embody because when you're humble, you don't take things so personally. You're not so hard on yourself. You're forgiving, you're compassionate. Anytime you're getting knocked and your ego is coming up, it's an opportunity to come back into the heart, and that's where humility and humbleness really live, you know. So, yeah, what was the most recent ego death you had? Let's go juicy.
Oh man, I feel like I mean just had another one coming back from Cornwall with my heart so open after getting tattooed. Like I feel like I almost went to the opposite side of the spectrum where there was like so much rage and so much coming out, like almost
Yeah.
righteousness. And I had to really like tone that back and be like, am I healing by letting this up and out, or am I just like shitting on my family?
Ah.
And it was
Well,
like, oh, I'm just shitting on my family. Like there's a much better way for me to be processing this, a much better way for me to be utilizing this energy for positive good rather than me just being a raging bitch to everyone around me.
mm. Yeah, that's what I was going to mention when I started talking, and then I got shy and I was like, what was your experience? But it's like
I love
exactly
it. The
the
universe
same.
was like, nope, you're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, I was that way in my business. I was like bringing up I was so stressed and feeling like this power was coming on within me. I was stepping into a new level, but I was also oscillating between like feeling really empowered and feeling really disempowered, and I was going back and forth and back and forth, and it was like so chaotic, and without the capacity feeling like it was there, I was like putting out all of this frustration into my team and just projecting it all out. And then that turned into pressure. And then I was feeling pressure on myself. And it was just all of this like bubbling energy. And then I ended up exploding. And then I had this moment where I was like, well, who am I without all of this? Like, what if I'm burning all of this down officially and my husband's going to step it up somehow and do something different and I get to just chill in the garden and play with flowers all day? And like, what if that's my future and I just don't know? And then that brought up a lot of grief. And then I had to go through that, that whole cycle and season. But the point is, ego deaths are very, very hard.
No, they are. And I feel like the more that you do the spiritual work, they come on faster
They
and
do.
more frequent. And like even like literally you can have this portal of expansion and then it's like coming in hot on its heels that you have an experience like that afterwards. And I almost feel like it's designed that way to kind of never keep you comfortable, right? Like you're like, okay,
Hmm.
you're never gonna just settle in life. And I think maybe, that's an internal drive in me, but I also feel like I'm such an old soul that like this is probably one of my last lives, to be honest,
Oh, you
that I
think
do
so?
feel like this life I have a drive in me to like almost want to keep on that hamster wheel a little bit. And I have to remind myself, like, no, it's okay to just like be. The next ego death will come. Like you don't have to invite it in. Like it's
Hmm.
gonna happen naturally, you know?
Yeah, you don't have to rush the timeline either. You know, sometimes it's like super good to, I'm speaking for myself, not for you, but like for me, I have found that it's like good to slow down and not continuously have this like work on myself mentality of like, okay, what's next? The next ascension, the next step. I actually am in right now a really long sabbatical from ayahuasca. It's going to be 7 or 8 months when I return back to the medicine. And I haven't taken that long of a break in the entire time I've been doing work, which is like 7 years. So it's like a very, very nice rest. And that also brought me into this awareness of like, wait a minute, I can slow down. I can be here right now. Like I don't have to go into the next layer and crack and perspective and point of view. And I could just be here. And I think that is the beauty of having all of the ego deaths. Like I'm curious your thoughts on this and we can close on it. My theory is that the reason that all of these things happen is because we're learning how to die. Like we are,
Ooh.
yeah. So like, hear me out because I think it's a some people might be like, I don't know, but I think this is legit. We're learning how to die over and over and over again because our soul and our spirit work outside of this realm and we know that. And so we have to leave in clean condition. So we're practicing over and over like, how do you do it? How do you let go? How do you give up control? How do you, come into your peace and your presence and your humbleness in your heart? And I think that all of that initiation is just preparing us so that we can be ready to go and then ready to do whatever the next thing is. You know what I mean?
I love that. And I wholeheartedly agree. Like now that you've said that, I'm never going to think differently of it because I really, to your point, now that we've flowed through this so many times, when it actually comes time to die, we will be ready. We will have
Mm-hmm.
felt like we learned all the things that we had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because that I feel like my soul definitely came into this life feeling like there wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time. And I know my last death was like a very traumatic death. And so that plays into it. But I also think again, because I am an older soul, like I had this like, oh, I got to get it all done. I need to learn it all, like because we only have so much time here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we reincarnate, but I do believe that we only reincarnate so many times. That you're only, I follow Ainsley McLeod's theory of, there's 10 levels to the soul. And once you get to level 10, like you're ascended, you become light, you become an ascended master. And so I do think there is a very human part of us because time is a human construct that feels like we have to feel it and experience it in a certain amount of time before we pass in this life. And so I do think part of us is preparing us to pass, but I think it's more that it's also clearing all the junk that needs to clear so that we're not going into the next life with collective karma or with personal karma. Because I for sure came into this life with personal karma from my last life. And I think that almost was what I was undoing at the beginning of my spiritual awakening before I even stepped into what I
Same.
needed to do from this lifetime, if that makes
Same.
sense.
Yeah, and there's like a huge pivot and fork in the road in that sense because once you do all that cleanup, you're then invited into this whole new paradigm of possibility because you're not carrying all of those things. You're like, whoa, where do I want to go? Right? Like, what is this life for me? It's so liberating. But yeah, you do have to go through all of those ego deaths in order to make it happen. So I think the moral of this entire story is just get a neck tattoo. Like that's it. That's it.
So I'll be waiting to see yours. No, it's do the scary thing. Truly, it's do the scary thing.
Mm.
Like you're always gonna be dying and be reborn. And I promise you that I think sometimes we're afraid that that new person we're becoming is going to be so different from who we were. And yes, it is, but it's not. You're coming into congruency with your soul. You're becoming even more you so that you can be more magnetic, so that you can be in the right relationships with the right people to serve your purpose, to serve your passions. Like it's all connected. And the more that we remember that, I think the more hopefully that we'll remember that we're held and that actually like the only way out is through and that it's going to get good again and it's going to get bad again and it's going to cycle. Like that's the cycle of life. So that's all I got for you today.
Well, I mean, come on. How could you not? How could you not say? Like, I know I end all these episodes and be like, that was a great episode. But how could you not say that for today's conversation? It's so juicy. It's so alive. It's so nourishing. And, the points that Victoria really makes, I think, are, really, really profound in such an authentic way, right? Like everything about this dialogue was like, I'm here, I'm myself, I'm not trying to be professional, I'm not putting on a mask. And I really, really wish that there was more of a movement out there for that to be alive. I feel it here on this show. I know sometimes I look at other people's content and I feel that energy of masking or performative energy. And I just, I think it's so beautiful when we can come together and just really be ourselves. So thank you, Victoria, for coming on the show. Thank you all for listening. If you have a particular guest that you really think would be a great feature here on the show, please send an email to us, press@laurenoflove.com. And before you go anywhere, please leave a review. Like us if you're listening on YouTube. That would be so amazing. Come follow us, press the subscribe button. If you're listening to this on Spotify, leave a comment on today's episode. If you're listening on Apple, go ahead and leave a 5-star review with a heartfelt reflection. And it's really, for me, like I want all of our guests to be properly featured. I want these women who have done such a beautiful thing to show up in their legacy and share their heart to really be honored and recognized for their work. So please go leave a review reflecting on them and letting us know that this was an episode you really enjoyed so we can encourage and enhance the chances of not just getting seen by others, but, bringing more guests like this on the show. That's really the goal. So thank you guys for being here. I love y'all so much. And I will see you on another episode very soon. Go ahead and check Victoria out. Go ahead and follow her. And I'll see you on another episode. Ciao, ciao. Bye.